Good evening, Hackney. How you doing? You all right? It's good to be home. And it's great to be in the Hackney. What a beautiful theatre. Like, it's incredible in here. Because we've been all over the place. We've been touring all over the country, doing shows in all sorts of venues. Because stand-up comedy has no production values. Like, you don't need a room as nice as this. We've been in, like, weird corridors in weird regional art centres, in, like, rock clubs that smell of piss. One church. We did a gig in a church. We turned up at the Kettering Art Centre, assuming it was an art centre, and it turns out it's a church. And I don't mean a kind of hipster, deconsecrated ex-church. I mean, on Friday and Saturday, there's music and comedy, and on Sunday, it's a fucking church. And I'm not knocking it. It turns out a church is an amazing venue to perform comedy in, which structurally makes sense, because ultimately a church is a building that's designed for people to speak in and for other people to listen to and appreciate that speech. So the sightlines are incredible, the acoustics are flawless, but also I think it's nice occasionally for somebody to speak in a church who looks more like Jesus than any fucking picture of Jesus you've ever seen in your entire fucking lives. Holy shit! Do you think when Jesus was being crucified, he thought, well, at least they'll remember what race I am? No, they won't, Jesus! You're gonna have blonde hair and blue eyes before they've dragged you down off that thing. Poor Jesus. He went up there a Middle Eastern man. He came down looking like the bass player from an indie rock group in the early noughties. Poor Jesus, from the King of Kings to a King of Leon. What a life! For Jesus Christ. And what a time for me to be traveling around the United Kingdom performing stand-up comedy. What a point in this nation's history. What the fuck happened? What happened to this fucking country? There are people living in this country I don't fucking understand. Like anyone who thinks Brexit is going well. What information are these fucking morons getting? Listen, I'm not judging you if you voted Leave. Of course I am, right? But I'm not judging you out loud if you voted Leave, but if you still think it's going well, you're a fucking idiot. And the problem is that the rest of us have to make conversation with you like you're not a fucking idiot because you won. And we find ourselves in ridiculous conversations. Oh yeah, that sounds like a great idea to resolve the dispute over the border in Ireland by snapping Northern Ireland off and sticking it to Wales. Oh yeah! What an innovative piece of outside-the-box thinking. Of course it was a good idea for the United Kingdom to trigger Article 50, thus setting a deadline for ourselves, which we did not have to do, even though we knew we were not prepared in any way, shape or form. Brexit is the equivalent of me, who can't drive, on Monday morning just calling up a test centre and going, book me in for 2 p.m. I'm giving it a crack. And as a nation, we're just sat there going, well, I assume this is the steering wheel. Vroom, vroom. Oh, no, I killed a boy. It was never going to go well. It was never going to go well. Brexit is the most complicated legislative shift in a generation, being presided over by some of the least talented people our country, nay, our species has ever produced. Look at the people. Look at the people in charge of delivering Brexit. It's like an Ocean's 11 of rank incompetence. But one where people just keep quitting halfway through the heist. You can't just walk away. The job is not done, child of unimaginative naming magazines, parents of the millennium, David Davis. You can't just walk away, Nigel Farage, and immediately spend 2.5 years rubbing one out to Enoch Powell's Wikipedia page. The job is not done. The whole thing is being presided over by Theresa May, a woman who campaigned for Remain before pushing for a Brexit so aggressive, Pret a Manger is going to have to change its name to Food In It, and the breakout star of the entire movement is Jacob Rees-Mogg, a man who will only make sense of in 5 years' time. It turns out he was being played by Sacha Baron Cohen the entire time. And his entire career was one elaborate Borat-style practical joke. What a load of shit. I don't understand anyone who thinks it's going well. Here's another group of people I don't understand. I don't understand any person of colour who voted Leave. It blows my mind that these people exist. And it's a hard thing for me to talk about demographically, because statistically, the largest group of people of colour that voted Leave are British Asian, as am I. And to those people, let me just say this, all the best, and I'll see you back in India. Because they're not going to stop with the Romanians. Are you fucking kidding me? And people of colour don't have the excuse white people have. White people who voted Leave come up to me all the time and they go, oh, we didn't know it was going to be racist. How were we supposed to know? All we had to go on was everything they did and said. But people of colour don't have that excuse. White people don't know this. We can smell racism. Yeah, laugh it up, honkies. You got no idea. You got no idea what we're capable of. It comes on like an X-Men superpower when you're 12 years old. Now I can just walk into a room and go, not for me. That's how it works. It's what happens to me every time I enter a private members club, or indeed Kent. Every time I'm in either one of those two places, I'm like, Jesus, it fucking reeks of intolerance in here. And the only thing that I will say briefly in defence of a section of my community, in defence of the British Indians specifically who voted Leave, is the one accusation consistently levelled at immigrant communities is that we don't integrate. You come here, you don't integrate, you don't integrate, you don't integrate. Well, you can't accuse us of that. We have integrated so much, we have now become racist. How much more integrated can you possibly get than we're trying to kick ourselves out? Are you not entertained, Nigel? I have a cousin who moved here 7 years ago from Kerala, India. Her and her husband, who also moved here 7 years ago from Kerala, India, voted Leave. Worse, I have an uncle who moved from Delhi, India to Pennsylvania in the United States of America 30 years ago. He voted for Donald Trump. When I asked all these people why they took the decisions they took, they all said the same thing: too many immigrants. Are you fucking shitting directly inside my mouth, uncle? What the fuck's the matter with you? How do you think we got here, you fucking backward cunt? What's the matter with you? Now, listen. Listen. My mum has said to me, Nish, can you not go on stage and call your uncle a backward cunt? Now, that is a request I would have respected if it hadn't been asked in the most nonsensical way possible. This is a full sentence that fell out my mother's head that she saw no logical problem with. Nish, can you not go on stage and call your uncle a backward cunt? I mean, he is, and I hope his business fails, but still. The only thing that I can tell you that's more indicative of my mother's waking mental state is I was having lunch with my parents, and apropos of nothing, my mother just said, I don't think either of my kids was abused. It's like, what the fuck are you talking about, woman? And she said, yeah, I don't think either you or your brother was sexually molested when you were children. And I was like, yeah, neither did I, until now.